everybody. This is another repackaged broadcast from a show that I did back in, June 13th of 2010. So it's, you see, it's quite old from my Blog Talk Radio days. But as I was kind of looking through some of the collection of videos that I took off Blog Talk and plan to repackage for YouTube, I came across this one and I thought, wow, this is in light of some of the things that are going on in our society where men are really not trying to have women leave them or reject them. And there's a lot of, unfortunate situations that are happening because of that. And these guys get extremely jealous and possessive. And I thought, oh, this is probably a good time to discuss this particular issue again. So when you see signs of jealousy, do you recognize them? If you see signs of a jealous person, do you think that that's cute? Do you think that that means that they love you? I mean, how do you perceive jealousy? What does it mean to you? And if you're the kind of person that gets jealous, how do you manifest it and why do you manifest it? What is it that you think is going to be different from you cutting up and acting a fool in your jealousy? So those are some of the questions that are posed in this show. I give you lots of good answers and ideas for looking inside of yourself to see what's going on and why you respond to situations the way that you do. I hope you enjoy it. And as usual, just to remind you, do not call the phone number that you hear shouted out. That was my phone number in 2010. It no longer is, I don't know who it rings to, but it's not me. So let me know what you think about the show in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you guys later.
My name is Deborrah Cooper. I'm the advice columnist on AskHeartbeat.com and the author of Sucker Free Love. I'll be hosting the show tonight and guiding you through the discussion of jealousy. We'll be trying to figure out if your reaction is a healthy, normal one or a warning of scary things to come. So we're going to, jealousy is something that a lot of people consider to be a normal reaction to a perceived threat. Where it becomes a problem, though, is that a lot of people will see perceived threats where none really exists, and they create a lot of drama and upset and turmoil in their relationships and ultimately bring about the very thing that they're most afraid of, which is their partner leaving them. So we're going to talk about that. If you have some comments, a story of jealousy that went awry, some really horrible thing that happened, you're wrestling with fears and concerns of your own, you don't really know how to handle the jealousy that you feel, this is the show for you. So give us a call. The number for the switchboard to be live on the show is 347-327-9215. That's 347-327-9215. Press 1 on your keypad, and I'll be happy to take your call on the air. Now, I want to say I'm not sure what happened, but somehow Blog Talk had this show listed to start at 9 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. So I'm not sure how that happened, but when I dialed in to set up to start hosting the show, it said, call back in 2 hours when your show is supposed to start. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So we may be a little slow getting some people in the chat room co-host due to that discrepancy. I just want to let you know. I'm not sure how that happened, but I'm getting ready to tweet the show now, and I'll also try to put something up on Facebook to let people know that there was a slight error there, and they can come on to the show now. But let's talk about about your feelings of jealousy. Now, a lot of people feel like, well, jealousy is normal. It's the kind of thing that you should feel when you're in love with someone. And oh, you saw that earlier? Yeah, I'm like, what the heck? I don't know what happened, because I know when I set the show it said 7. So I'm not sure really when that, how that happened, when that changed, but that's not what I scheduled for. So I'm really kind of confused, but whatever. But anyway, jealousy, according to Sigmund Freud, is a normal, natural human emotion. And, according to him, his perception is that it starts in childhood, that it's a kind of a twist on the Oedipus complex, where a young boy might feel jealous of his father for the loving relationship that he has with that young boy's mother. Now, that was Sigmund Freud, and we know, of course, he had a lot of really great ideas, but a lot of his stuff was straight out of left field and has since been proven to be, little more than something that should go down the garbage disposal. But in this, this was his opinion of it. Now, some people feel, most people actually feel that when you're in a romantic relationship, that some feeling of jealousy is normal. You'll feel that you may be replaced, that you may be traded in for a better model, that the love and attachment that you feel is at risk for being lost, that someone is kind of a contender, a challenger to your position as owner of the throne. So it would be natural under those circumstances to feel like you might be, replaced, and to feel some sense of loss, some sense of anger, of course, grief and loss of the relationship, loss of the dreams that you had for the relationship and that particular partner, and, of course, somewhat betrayed because you had trust that the belief that you had in the relationship lasting forever and this person being true to you would be upheld. So all of those feelings would be natural, totally logical, totally explainable. But what happens when people have jealous feelings that are abnormal? Let me give you an example. Say a husband walks into the house and finds his wife talking on the phone, and he doesn't know who she's talking to, but after listening for a few seconds, it's obvious that she's talking to a male. He doesn't know who this male is, but the wife is laughing and, obviously enjoying the conversation. His heart starts to wrench, his stomach curls up, his toes curl up, he feels knots, his neck gets tense, his jaw clenches up. He's feeling jealous. He's feeling like, okay, she's talking to a man, she must be cheating with him, he's trying to take my wife from me, what's going on, I don't understand. Why is she laughing and talks? She never laughs and talks with me like that. She must be fucking him. They're setting up some kind of situation where they're going to end up, she's probably laughing and joking and getting ready to go meet him now. She just didn't expect me home to catch her. So he's gone from A to triple Z without knowing who's on the phone or anything about it. When the wife hangs up, she says, oh, that was little Bobby Smith's dad. He's a single father. He can't take off work. So I told him that I would pick little Bobby up and take him on the field trip with our daughter tomorrow, and then we were trying to coordinate what time I would drop little Bobby off. So you see, it's a completely innocent situation, but this man, not knowing what's going on, has created this whole threatening story in his mind where he's going to lose his wife. Now, I've given that example, but that is typically what happens. That's the kind of situation that happens when people are excessively and inexplicably jealous of their partner. No reason, no logic, there's nothing to base this on. They just flip out and become jealous. So I'm looking for some stories from people of their own jealous reactions. I have one to share. I've been jealous in my life exactly one time, and it was the worst 3 minutes of my life. But I can feel for people that, flip out and do horrible things while they're jealous, I can really, really understand why they do them, seriously, based on the experience that I had. This is what happened. Okay, I broke up with this guy, and, I broke up with him, so it's nothing I can really say about, him leaving me or anything like that. And I saw him at a concert with some other chick. Now, where we were in the Calvin Simmons Theater here in Oakland. It's a huge theater. But I happened to be on a date with some other guy, turned around. It's like I felt this energy. It was so weird. Out of all those thousands of people in this theater, I happened to turn around and see this guy I had just broken up with sitting there with this other woman. Now, she was all hugged up over him, all laid all over him and everything. He was sitting stiff as a board and looking at me just as I was looking at him with, his eyes all bugged out. And at that moment, I felt sick. I mean, like physically ill. Like my stomach was in knots. My heart was in my throat. I could feel my heart beating. Like every beat of my heart, I could feel it. I couldn't breathe. I just felt, just dizzy. I broke out into a sweat. It was like I said, it was the worst feeling of my life. So the guy I was with, he never knew. I jumped up. I said, I'm going to go to the ladies' room. So I jumped up. I went to the bathroom, wiped the sweat off. Got myself together, reapplied my makeup and stuff, and came out. When I came out, I looked in the seat where this estranged ex was sitting previously, and he was gone, and so was his date. So come to find out later, he felt the same feelings that I felt. And, of course, later I ended up marrying this guy, but, at the time we were kind of on the split. But that was my one experience with jealousy. It was the worst few minutes of my life. I thought I was going to die. And so I totally feel for people who feel, out of control. They don't know what to do about the feelings that they have. They don't know, where to. You just basically don't know what to do. Now, the flip side of that is, now I had no feelings of murderous rage or anything like that. I just felt sick. It was all personal and all internal. What about people who lose total control and feel like, they're going to hurt someone, or they just totally lose control? Now, let me read you a couple of little scenarios here. This is from a man. I found myself sitting curled up in the bushes, following every movement seen through the curtains in her lit-up window. I knew her new boyfriend was there, and the knowledge caused me excruciating pain. It was a cold winter night, and once in a while it would drizzle. I said to myself, I know I'm a sane, well-adjusted, responsible adult male. What in the world is happening to me? Have I totally lost my mind? And yet I continued sitting in those bushes for hours. I didn't leave until the light in the window was gone. A force larger than myself held me hypnotized to the light and to her. I have never in my life felt so close to madness. Now, for those who say, well, what about women? Here's a story from a woman. Although I knew that our relationship was over, I still had very strong feelings towards him. Then, one day, I saw him at the corner store we used to shop at when we lived together. He was with this bleached blonde chick, the kind who spends hours choosing her outfit, perfectly applies her heavy makeup, sprays every hair on her head in just the right place. I knew that I looked like a bag lady. My nose was red from a cold. My hair was unwashed and greasy. I think I simply went mad, but I'm not sure. I went up to him, kicked him in the nuts, snapped the hat he was holding in his hand, and ran outside. I went to his car, which for some reason he left unlocked, and started crying uncontrollably. I've never cried like that in my life. I felt I was going out of my mind. So you see, both of these people have some really, really powerful emotions going on here, totally overwhelming them. And, they're very extreme. They both represent a total loss of control, even though there's a voice in them, trying to be logical and bring them back to reality. They're gone. So, can we really say the people that say that they lost, control and went temporarily insane from jealousy and hurt or killed someone. Is that really so far removed from reality, judging by the things I've just read and some other stories I heard over this last week since I scheduled this show? Maybe not. I mean, not to say that's a legal defense or anything, because, we still all know right from wrong. But what I'm saying is, when people feel these overwhelming feelings of jealousy, it's like they just totally lose it. And that show on, Oxygen Network, where they talk, it's called Snapped. It's about women that kill men. And these chicks, I mean, the guys, they got jealous, the guys cheated on them, they abused them, whatever. At some point, these women, they may have dealt with it for a while, but at some point they just went buck crazy and killed these men. And the whole series is called Snapped. It's a whole, each episode is a different true life story. These are real cases where women just lost their minds of jealousy and killed men. And, there you go. Now, to throw a little reality in that, though, the majority of the cases of jealousy that involve murder are committed by men. I'm merely talking about a television show that features the female version, some of the larger, more well-known in the public eye cases, of people that were kind of like famous celebrities or something like that. They focus on those. But the large majority of domestic violence, stalking cases, and murders, suicides, murders of estranged spouse, this kind of thing, are committed by men against women. So if you have some comments, you have questions, you'd like to call in to talk about your own feelings of jealousy, how you dealt with it, or how you're wrestling with it in a current or past relationship, I'd like to hear it. The number to call is 347-327-9215. And if anybody here can, reach out and tweet or email a friend and let them know that the show is on now. I'm not sure what happened, because when I tried to call in to log on to the switchboard, it told me to call back in 2 hours because the show was on for 9 o'clock. So, I'm sure a lot of people are not knowing that, the show is on now, and they're going to miss it. So if you have some friends that we're looking forward to this discussion, please send them a text, send them an email, something, and let them know that that was a mistake, and that the show is on now at its regularly scheduled time, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern on Saturday night. That's our time slot. So let me talk about jealousy a little bit more. I think for most people, jealousy is extremely painful. It's very distressful because you don't really know what to do with that energy. It's so negative and so bothersome. It makes people feel just so out of control. I'm looking at some of my notes here. Man, for those of you who don't know me, my handwriting is so bad. I swear I need to take some kind of handwriting class. I can't even read my own handwriting. But the bottom line is jealousy is a feeling that when we feel like we're in danger of losing something, losing someone, losing the favor or the pleasure of some interaction that we have with a person, we get jealous. We feel threatened, and like this is going to harm us in some way. The loss of this person, this thing, this perceived threat that we feel is going to harm us in some way. The feeling that you have in reaction to that perceived threat, whether it's real or imagined, is jealousy, just so you know. Now, some people associate that with love because they say, well, it's hard to love someone that you don't feel jealous for, about. If you don't feel jealous, that means you don't really care. My own father believed that because he told me one time, that I had never really been in love because I don't get jealous about my men. And I was just very, horrified that he would say such a thing. But, he was one of the ones that believed that if you're really, truly emotionally attached to someone, you want to be with them, you want to know where they are, You want to know what they're doing. You want to know who they're associating with and all this kind of thing. I'm not like that. I've never been like that. I don't care. It's not like, well, no, let me take that back. It's not like I don't care, but it's just that I have the faith that if you tell me you're going to be somewhere and you're going to be doing something, that's what you're going to be doing and that's where you're going to be. If I find out that that's not where you are and that's not what you're doing, well, then we're going to have a problem. But until I find out that that what you're telling me is not true, why would I feel threatened by it? I don't feel that way. And I don't, and I also don't play those games. So if I find someone who is trying to make me jealous, which a lot of people will do, they will intentionally try to provoke a jealous reaction in their mate as a proof of love. What the hell is that? And I'll see that a lot with men and with women. They try to talk about other people that they might, that are flirting with them or that want them. It's like they get some kind of perverse pleasure or some kind of charge from telling you this stuff to see you react in a jealous way. I refuse to do that. It's like, if you keep trying to play those games, you will get left in the dust because I'm not going to associate with somebody who thinks that stuff is fun and that's how you wanted me to prove that I love you. Now, I know a lot of other women. I see some women in the chat room co-signing with that, too. One lady says, Lady Malice, I get labeled as cold and distant and sometimes heartless because I don't get jealous. Yeah, I get the same thing because I'm like, I'll just look down my nose and somebody say, well, you know what? If that's the only way that makes you feel loved, you need to hit the door because I ain't the one. I'll love you, but I'm going to do it in the way that I love you. And if that's not, something you're familiar with, you're used to this drama kind of love, I'm obviously not the woman for you because I don't do drama. And a lot of guys don't understand that. And, they're used to that kind of drama and upset and turmoil in a relationship, and they associate that with a woman loving them. And so a woman who doesn't give that kind of drama, they don't know what to do with you because, that means they're going to have to respond to you and deal with you in an adult, mature fashion, and they don't quite, they haven't arrived there yet because it's not anything that they've ever had to do. So, it's a most interesting prospect and one that I would love to chat with you about. So if you guys got a comment on the jealousy issue, give me a call at 347-327-9215. I'd especially love to hear from people who have wrestled with jealousy, or if you've had a partner who's been like super jealous, how did you handle that? Because that's stalkerism. Somebody you wanted to dump and they just refuse to let go. Oh, we've all had those. They keep calling. They want to stop by your house. They want to interfere with your new relationship, mess things up so you have to come back with them. Go and spread nasty rumors about you so nobody will want you. All that kind of drama. What's that all about? So give me a call, 347-327-9215. Caller 803. Your mic's open. What's your question or comment?
Hey, Miss Heartbeat. It's Princess FAA.
Hey, girl. What's going on?
Nothing much. This is a good topic, and I definitely just wanted to share my little opinions on the subject. See, the thing about when you're talking about jealousy in relationships, whether it's men or women, it can be a dangerous game. Jealousy is also a power trip thing, too. If you think about it, that person wants control of your whereabouts, who you talk to, who you with, 24 hours a day. So it's definitely a power trip thing and control thing. And it's also an insecurity thing as well, because they're worried about if you will leave them or cheat on them. I've had a crazy ex-boyfriend from back in the day. This guy was nuts, He was the jealous type. And then when I broke up with him, he started stalking me. So
what?
Yeah, it can get dangerous, So you have to set your boundaries and be careful as to who you get involved with nowadays, because this jealousy thing have gotten people killed as well, in relationships. You hear about it on the news all the time,
All the time.
Exactly.
All the time.
And so you just got to be careful, Miss Heartbeat. And this is definitely something that need to be talked about often, with men and women.
Now, you said that you think it's a self-esteem thing, self-confidence, and all that. Now, do you have any tips, like in retrospect with the boyfriend that you had? Were there some red flags that you kind of ignored early on?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, can you share those, Princess?
Yes. The way this person would speak, like if I could miss one phone call from this person, and they would call me and say, why you didn't answer my call? Who you were on the phone with? When you hear just simple things like that would definitely be a red flag. And this person wanting to know about your whereabouts. Who are your guy friends? What's your relationship with them? Where you met them? And all that type of stuff. And smothering. That's another sign. They're real clingy. They get real clingy to you as well. They don't want you to leave out their sight. They barely want you to have any friends or any social circle except them. These are different signs. It's a control factor, too. Like I said, it's power trip. They're power tripping. They want the power in the relationship. They feel if they don't have the power, then there's something wrong. And it's not with you. It's with them.
Yeah, I think so, too. I think a lot of these guys, they're already jealous. And if they just keep changing women and they try to say, oh, you make me jealous. No, I think you already had this, little thing going on in the first place, and the face that you're jealous about, it just has changed. I don't think that it just appears out of nowhere.
Definitely.
Well, girl, thank you, and thank you for sharing, your story, because that I think is very important for women to hear, especially, the tips you gave about possible warning signs, because I think a lot of people think, oh, it's so cute.
Right.
He want to know where I am. He cares about me. He loves me.
Right.
Please.
See, that's how I used to thought. I used to think like that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I used to think like that, and I learned the hard way. This guy started stalking me, and I learned my lesson. It can become dangerous. But I thank you so much for letting me speak on this subject, Miss Heartbeat. And I do enjoy your shows. And I will be back to you next. And I'm going to just listen in the chat room.
Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you, sweetie.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're still taking calls on jealousy, whether you felt that green-eyed monster yourself or had to deal with a partner that was extremely jealous. How did you handle that? What ultimately happened in your relationship? Now, I can share you a story. I think I've shared this on another show, but I don't remember which one, but I'll talk about it here. This guy I went out with, and the only reason I talk about this is because it was such a bizarre situation. I just, had never experienced anything like this. And it was just such a surprise to me because dude just came out of left field with this drama. This was my second, third date maybe. I don't remember, one of those two with this dude. And, he had come to my house to pick me up we were going to go out to dinner. And a friend of mine who I had typed his resume and a cover letter for and trying to help dude get a job. He didn't have a computer of his own. So, he'd come over and let him use my computer. And so he was calling me that night. He'd had an interview earlier in the day, and he was calling to give me the lady's name and email address that he'd had the interview with because he wanted me to send her a thank you note on his behalf. Fine. I'm writing down what he wants me to say. So dude is sitting on the couch. The guy I'm supposed to be going out with, he's sitting on my couch. I can see his face, across the room, looking all glum and stupid. But, I really wasn't tripping on him. I'm talking to my friend Ken and, congratulating him for what sounded like a great interview. He was finally going to have a job, and it was going to be great for him because, dude had been out of work for a while. So I hang up from Ken, and, I'm reaching to get my coat. My date says to me, so who was that on the phone with this funky tone of voice? And I'm like, what? What did you say? Who the fuck was that? I was one of your niggas on the phone? That's what he said to me. And I was just so shocked that, for a minute, and it takes a lot for me to be speechless. Y'all know me now. I always have something to say. I sit there with my mouth hanging open for a good 3 or 4 seconds with just speechless. Like, I know this fool did not just say what I think I heard him say. So I said, what? Again. And he, repeats it. So I'm like, okay, you know what? We ain't going out to dinner. I want you to get the hell out of my house. I want you to get up and get out. And, don't nobody ask me who's on my phone. I pay this phone bill, not you. So he's like, well, it seemed to me you was talking to some, in. I'm like, so what if I was? That's my business. It's not yours. So, I want you to get out. Now, when he was talking, I was on the, you had them phones. This is pre-cell phone. Well, it was a cell phone days, but I wasn't using my cell phone that much. I still had a landline. So this was in my kitchen. I had a phone up on the wall. So I was in the kitchen where my knives are. I'm like, dude, you don't need to argue with a sister and try to come at her sideways in her house when she in the kitchen where her knives are. You need to get out. So I'm sitting there looking at this fool thinking, boy, I will cut you. You don't understand. So he's, trying to argue about why he shouldn't have to leave. And I'm like, you know what, you need to get out now. So now he sees a knife in my hand because I'm thinking, I'm going to have to hurt him because he's obviously, something, he's not wrapped too tight. There's some, to me, his reaction was totally unreasonable considering the status of our relationship or really in any relationship to come at me like that when I barely knew this fool. So I'm ready for him to go. And so, finally he leaves and everything. He calls a couple of times trying to see if I changed my mind, all this and that. But it's like, I saw something in him in that moment that let me know this was not the man for me. You're not going to ask me no questions. You're not going to accuse me of nothing. I'm not going to be put on the defensive. I'm not explaining shit. This is my house, my phone. I pay his bills on this bitch, and I will decide who I talk to and when, and you will like it or you will leave. Those are your choices. So, he had to get up and get out, but the bottom line is how many women, though, in a similar situation would have the courage to say what I said? I think most would be like, oh, that was just a friend of mine, and they're going to explain and try to placate him. Ladies, once you do that, you are on the slippery slope to drama. Because when you have a man who tries to put himself in, like Princess FAA said, in the power seat by using his jealousy to control you, see, you're going to try to placate him and do things to not make him jealous. You're going to explain your every move. You're going to try to be super accountable by reporting in where you are, who you're with, all this stuff. He's going to start to tell you what you can wear, where you can go, who your friends can be, what time you have to be home, all of this, and you will fall in line because your goal is to make him not be jealous. You want to prove that you're not doing any of the things he accuses you of doing. I'm like, please, all the stuff you accuse me of, that becomes the top of my agenda to do. So you need to keep your mouth shut. So, just trust that I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. But if you start accusing me of shit, I'm going to make sure that I do it so that when you accuse me, at least you'll be accurate. That's how I do it. But, of course, not everyone plays the game like I do. Caller 646, what's your question or comment?
Sometimes jealousy starts out insidious. Like men can make little comments, and I think it's a way of controlling. I remember dating a guy, and he would make comments about how he wanted me to dress, what he wanted me to wear, and then it would end up being, I thought we agreed it would be this and it would be that. And I remember feeling frustrated about that, because it was always what he wanted, and he would express, disappointment if I went against what he thought. And it just ended up being a way of him to control me and get me under his thumb. And I think jealousy and control goes hand in hand, and that relationship soon ended. But I think that's another sign that women can look for in a jealous type of behavior. Sometimes it's not always that blatant where guys ask, well, who you sleep with, what are you doing? Sometimes jealousy can manifest itself in a guy trying to control you, tell you maybe you should wear this, or why don't you do that? Or they're always making suggestions, and what they're doing is, they're trying to bend you in a way, and it's because of their jealousy and insecurity that they want you to be the way that they want you to be. So
exactly.
Not everything is so blatant, but that's also, and then it grows from there. It can start off that way, and sometimes women don't recognize that that's the result of his jealousy, and then gradually the control gets bigger and bigger and more until the next thing you know, he's telling you, well, you can't go out or you can't hang out with your friends. And I have a girlfriend that when we hang out, she's married, and we hang out. Her husband calls her all the time, 4 and 5 times, and we're hanging out. And he says, oh, well, your friend is single and you're not, so I have to watch. Come to find out, her husband was doing something he shouldn't have been doing, having a relationship, a chat relationship with some woman he met, and that's why he was so jealous or suspicious of her hanging out with me. But again, jealousy, can take on different ways that it can show itself. And women, be careful of a man always suggesting that you do something, act a certain way, behave a certain way, and always giving you suggestions, trying to control how you think and do it. It starts with that.
And, surprisingly, well, not really surprisingly, but right in association with that, ladies, on my blog, survivingdating.com, is an article about with the female socialization, or women socialized to be codependent. You might want to check that out because of the fact that what the caller is just talking about is included and explained in that article, how women are programmed and socialized to be pleasing and to acquiesce to these kinds of demands. It's considered to be the, quote, right thing to do, end quote, for to maintain a relationship and to please your man. And I'm thinking, that needs to change promptly. Women need to stand up to men and tell them no. And, you're not going to control me, and I'm going to do what I want to do, and you either like it or get the hell on. I don't really care. But,
exactly.
Some women just don't really have that backbone, a lot of them, because it's just been socialized and religiousized out of them.
Right, exactly. And so that's, I started, wondering. I started noticing whenever he would say something, I would just, I just stopped enjoying being in his company because I was just waiting for, okay, what he got to say now that I need to do. He always had a suggestion, always had a comment, always, well, why don't you do this, or you should do that, or well, I thought we agreed we would go here, or it just became too much. And so I realized that, I'm not the type of woman to acquiesce and be controlled like that. And of course, needless to say,
round of applause, girlfriend. Round of applause.
That's right. And when I spoke up to say something, they look at you like you're crazy. And this wasn't, and it's not always the not to stereotype. It's not always the thug type. Hey, down by the car wash type of dudes acting like this. Was an educated dude. Sometimes those are the most controlling and can be the most jealous because of the control they have in their job.
The guy I was talking about, he was a doctor.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Totally not a thug at all. Totally like you would think Mr., Poindexter type. And just totally square. No, not at all. You're so right. Yeah.
Because they are deferred to on their job, so they want that same kind of attitude with the person, that they choose to be with. And a lot of times they choose women who will do that to them. And he thought I was going to be that type of woman because of my southern background and that kind of thing. But, they don't want a partner. They want someone to just cater to their needs, and those men tend to be the most controlling, jealous type of all, and I think jealousy and controlling walk hand in hand, and often it starts off with innocuous comments like, oh, well, you're going out, oh, why are you wearing that dress, or where are you going, or we didn't talk about this, and little things like that, and they're really not little things. They just add up to box a woman in, and it starts off with that verbal type of control, and then it just grows from there, and it's not a situation that a woman should put herself in and stay in. Thank you.
I'll go with you. Thank you. Okay. Talk to you later. Okay, let's get a call. 678. Your mic's open. What's your question or comment?
Hey, it's Miss No Single Mama Drama.
What's up, chick?
Hey. Girl, I had 2 controlling boyfriends. And the
What?
first one, it ended in violence, and that's why I moved to Atlanta from California, to get away from him. I had a 4-year restraining order, and he just kept violating the restraining order. And when somebody tells you that they're going to kill you, I ain't going to stick around to find out. I'm out. So,
I'm with you.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we ain't going to test that theory. Let's just say that that's right, and let's move on.
Let's move on. And I've talked about this on my show before, because there have been 7, or is it 11? I'll just say 7 for right now. 7 women who have reported him on a website called Don't Date Him Girl.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yes.
Yes, for the same type of junk. After me, 7 women after me, at least 7. So that one, and let me tell you, controlling people, sometimes they're real slick, because after a while, they know how to play the game. They know how to anticipate what the woman's response is going to be, so they learn how to guise it as being caring. And see, sometimes when they're too slick like that, you don't see it as often as somebody who comes at you overtly with those questions. This dude come at me and always make it seem like he was just caring about me, checking on me to see if I'm all right. And when you first start a relationship, you're like, oh, that's so sweet. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how he did this. So once I had that experience from the first one, when the second one came around, and he took a while before it wasn't something that started right away. When he started doing it, I was like, okay, this feels like a repeat of, oh boy, I'm cool. So I couldn't break up with him because he was very clingy. Like Princess FAA said, I couldn't break up with him. So, I mean, he was the sweetest person in the world, did everything for me, but he was very emotional, very clingy, and very controlling and jealous. So I had to make him think that it was his choice to leave me based on the experience that I had before.
Whoa.
Yeah. Off the chain.
Girl, well, I'm happy to know that you made the smart decision and got the hell away from that fool.
Okay.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking to you right now because, we've all heard the stories of the murder-suicides and, men killing women because they're jealous. It's just not cool at all.
Yeah, and there's one of our listeners, I won't say this person's name right now, but his sister actually was murdered because of this situation. And I wish he would, talk about it, to everyone, because the story is so powerful and it just, it's for real. It's for real, for real. When a dude said or a woman says that they are going to kill you, take that seriously. You never know. For real, you really don't know what's really going on in somebody's head.
I'm with you, girl. I would go, honey. I'd be in the woods in Alaska living with the bears. Whatever.
Okay. Whatever, huh?
Whatever I need to do.
Right, girl.
You calm down because you are tripping.
Okay.
Woo.
All righty.
Well, thank you for calling. I appreciate the comments.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, you guys, I have another caller I'm waiting to call in that she has a show here on Blog Talk. I'm hoping she makes it and wasn't confused by the incorrect time. Okay, here's Lady Malice. Lady Malice, can you call in, please, and share that story? 347-327-9215. I'd love to have you share that because I don't think people really understand how serious jealousy can be. These real life stories from people that have actually experienced it, I think, are much more powerful than me sitting here saying, "Oh yeah, that was in the news. That was." So I would love it if you would call in. Okay. Let's see, 646. Your mic's open. What's your question or comment?
Oh, I was just going to say, sometimes there are jealousy. I was looking it up, and I've experienced. I've had friends that had, guys that were just crazy jealous, and there is a type of jealousy that psychologists call morbid jealousy, the Othello complex, and that's when jealousy, that's when they kill. and often it's rooted into other underlying undiagnosed psychosis and mostly men suffer from this than women do. And so I think women should know some symptoms of morbid jealousy and how to avoid it, and what the irrational behaviors that these men show. Those are the ones that usually stalk and kill. That's just when jealousy goes into danger, and they have a word for it. It's morbid jealousy, the Othello complex, irrational jealousy. So, maybe we could talk about that a little bit.
I would love to.
Especially since she mentioned her sister was killed by an ex. That's so sad. But this happens a lot. Isn't that one of the number one reasons women are killed?
It is like it's given as a reason in as many as 95% of the what they call domestic partner violence situations that end in either battering or death by men against women. Jealousy, the number one trigger in it. Like I said, as many as 95% of the cases. So, jealousy, a jealous man is a dangerous thing, and can really, a woman can end up, permanently maimed and disfigured and or dead from a man being jealous. So,
and it mentioned that, there is normal type of jealousy, but then when you get into morbid jealousy, when it dips into obsessional and delusional jealousy. And then they talk about obsessional jealousy. A person will just continue to have repeated thoughts that their partner is being unfaithful. It's usually rooted into around sex. And even though they may not believe it, they can't stop thinking about it. They become, obsessed about it. And then
that's the number one thing that men seem to be concerned about when, what I was reading about jealousy, with women is the emotional abandonment of their man leaving them emotionally. But for men, it's all about the coochie, what she's doing with the coochie, and who's getting it besides him. So who he thinks might be possibly wanting to get it besides him. So it's very interesting, and I was wondering with all of this, is this can't be the way men are born. I believe this is just socialization. Men are socialized to feel that they should own a woman's body, and that, once they sleep with a woman, marry a woman, date a woman, whatever, that they own the pussy. And since they own the pussy, anybody who else gets in it is violating their territory, and therefore they feel jealous and competitive and want to kill somebody in order to maintain the upper hand. I think it's all socialization.
You do, yeah. Do you think maybe it might start when a boy, and I know you mentioned this earlier, or is small and he becomes jealous of maybe but then the relationships his mother may have with other men if there's a man around.
Possibly. The way that I understand the Freudian version, though, he looks at it as the Oedipus complex, and whether he's jealous of the father's love, the mother's love of the father. He wants that love for himself. And so, that play Oedipus was kind of creepy and weird, but that's where that all comes from.
Yeah. Well, some of the scientists have said that, morbid jealousy, they say a lot of times that men who have that kind of dip over into that dangerous, obsessive psycho-jealousy often have other issues as well. And I'd be interested to hear when this lady calls in what she says about, the man that killed her sister. If there are other, sometimes they say they're depressed, alcoholism, other things that haven't been treated, and just all aggravates the other. A lot of times they're down about something, unhappy with their job, unhappy with their lives. But sometimes they're not. Sometimes they could be very successful and still jealous. So, But it is very interesting how men most likely are jealous of the sex, and women, it's emotional neglect. So there you go.
Yep.
It's really interesting. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's see, we got a caller from area code 770. Your mic's open. What's your question or comment?
This is Lady Malice.
Hey, girl.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing good tonight. Yeah, I was just going to reiterate my comment about my sister. Now, she had been adopted when she was about 2 years old, and she was about 4 years older than me, so I didn't really get to know her that much. But on February 12th this year, she was stabbed to death by her ex-fiancé. They had just broken up like a week or so before, and he was really down and depressed about it. And people that knew her and knew him, talked to him and knew what he was feeling. But that night, he was really upset because it was almost Valentine's Day and they weren't together anymore. And he went to her house and they started arguing, and next thing you know, she was dead. And that was 2 days before Valentine's Day, and Valentine's Day is my birthday. So, it really hit home for me. Now, I had dealt with, a friend of mine who was in an abusive relationship, and her boyfriend, we were all friends in high school, and they got married, like, as soon as we graduated, they went and got married. And after that, he absolutely refused to let her be around us. He didn't let her go anywhere without him. She wasn't even allowed to go to the grocery store unless he was there, because he didn't want other men looking at her. He didn't want anybody else to influence her against him. And when I finally was able to talk to her and sit down and really get inside her mind and make her realize, come out of her denial of the situation, I was able to help her get out. But my sister, for some reason, felt like she could handle it all by herself. And she told her father that, and he regrets not taking further steps to keep him away from her.
Mm-hmm.
But it is real.
Boy.
It is so real. We have to really look for the warning signs, because if you don't, you'll end up like my sister.
Yeah, I think, what do you have to say to a woman who would think that, if he acts jealous, that shows how much he loves me, that's cute? What would you say to a woman like that?
It's not cute. It is so not cute. I mean, just a little bit of jealousy. Okay, why are you talking to him? Why are you spending so much time over here? Why are you doing this? I mean, that's invading your privacy. You have a right to your privacy. You have a right to speak to, be around, do whatever you feel like doing. Nobody has control over you. And if you have somebody who's sitting there trying to take control of your life for you, you need to get out. Kick him to the curb and move on. And if
I'm so glad you called.
If he comes back after that, it's called a restraining order.
Thanks, girl. I hope that some of this sinks in, because I hear this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he loves me. That's why he acts like that. No, he acts like that because he's a jealous fool.
Mm-hmm.
And
he acts like that because he's insecure in his own manhood.
That's what I think too.
Mm-hmm. That's something you really have to watch out for. That kind of insecurity can really hurt you in the end. And I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about you, women. Wake up and realize it. Okay? If your man is exhibiting those signs of insecurity, you need to tell him to get vetted by a psychiatrist. Seriously.
Oh, boy. Well, thank you so much, Lady Mouse. I'm just so happy you did call in. Thanks a lot for your tips.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So let me go over a couple of things that you guys might want to pay attention to. A few kind of, I don't know if I want to say red flags, but just because none of them aren't really red flags, but they're just kind of things that you should, kind of start paying attention to. Let me just put it that way. So say you meet a guy. Now, a lot of women are flattered by this. You meet a guy, and, he wants to get, attached and involved extremely quickly. His words of love, he wants to spend all his time with you. He wants to be around you all the time. He's just so loving, flattering, all this stuff. Now, a lot of women just fall for that hook, line, and sinker. Whoa, girlfriend, pump your brakes. That is a sign of someone who is not wrapped too tight. A normal man is going to, he might care, but he's going to be just as hesitant and a little leery and trying to, figure out what's going on as you are. Only someone who is a psychotic fool is going to jump in without knowing what they're jumping into and start pressing for all kinds of commitment and involvement early on. That is a warning sign. Now, it doesn't mean that he's necessarily a jealous psycho stalker, but it most likely means that he's someone who's got some commitment issues and is trying to rush past the getting to know you phase right into the relationship to get you overly involved. That's the usual thing. But it also does apply to guys that are extremely jealous and possessive. They want to take ownership right away. So since you don't know which one of the two it could be, the bottom line is back away, okay? Slow things down. If he starts coming at you like that, just slow him down. Another thing that women, I think, ignore is a guy who's a little rough. Now, by that I mean, like, say you're doing something, he pinches you, he pushes you, he quote, wrestles with you, he twists your arm behind your back, but then he kisses you after. See, these are tests. Those are little tests that those kind of abusive dudes do to see how much control you're going to give them. You need to come out with guns blazing if he does anything like that to you. Don't take it. Don't think it's okay. It's not cute. It's not funny. Don't accept it. And if you need to, end the relationship. Anything that a man does that physically hurts you, affronts you, causes you pain, and he plays it off like it's fun, a joke he was just playing, screw that noise. That's a test. And if you don't come down on him with both feet, you have failed, and after that, your ass is grass. That's all I'm going to say. Number 3, if he displays temper, something that scares you, something that's so outside the norm that you are, you're just kind of taken aback at his reaction, be careful, because the way that he handled that person or that situation, that will soon be you. Okay? Don't think that it's only limited to people that are not you. That's not true. The way that someone is, he's showing you his character right then on the spot. You need to pay attention. So many women ignore that with their stars in their eyes and stuff like, but he's so wonderful, he loves me, this and that. And they think because a man says he loves them, it totally discounts all his other negative behavior. That is so wrong. Another thing that shows a sign of a man who may be trying to put himself in the position of controlling you due to his jealousy, his desire to control and have the one-up on you, he'll start to say little things that undermine your self-confidence. Now, I've talked about this on some of the other shows, the guys that are called the pickup artist group. They use a technique that's called negging, where they'll come up to you and they'll say some negative comment that, kind of makes you look at yourself in self-examination in an unflattering way. So they might say something like, this is an example that Charles Orlando gave on his show the other night. A guy will come to you and say, oh, you have a pretty smile, but did you know that it was crooked? When you smile, it's crooked on one side. Your face is crooked on that side where you smile. So he gave you a compliment, but then he totally rips the rug out from under you. And that was a pretty mild thing, not really big of a deal. But the bottom line is the man has criticized you and said something that makes you, feel like, well, you're not all that. And guys that are jealous and insecure will try to do things along those lines. They'll insult your hobbies, your interests, your choice in music, your friends, the way you dress, the way you talk to your cat, the way you whatever you have for fun, the way you've decorated your house, the books you read, anything. He'll find some little thing to nitpick and criticize you about to make you feel bad about yourself and your choices, so that he places himself in a position of superior. And, so it's all a negotiation tactic. We already talked about the cutting off the support system. Someone mentioned that, how they try to, make you sure you don't see any of your friends, your family. They make your little, your world very small. A lot of them will blame you. This is another abusive tactic that jealous people use. So they'll come up with some crazy reason why they're jealous and acting a fool, Well, somehow it's your fault. Well, you shouldn't have been smiling. Well, you shouldn't look so good and I wouldn't be jealous. Well, you're so flirtatious. Well, all those guys like you. What am I supposed to do? What do you think I'm supposed to do when all those guys are looking at you like that? You see what I mean? Somehow the fact that you're a wonderful woman, the beautiful, talented, creative, and happy spirit that he started dating, that he claimed he liked, now all of a sudden that's all bad, and he wants you to stop being that thing because it's making him jealous. So he's putting you in the position of having the power over his jealousy, which means you have responsibility for it. Wrong-amundo, not happening. Okay, caller 323, what's your question or comment?
Hi, how are you? This is Rael.
Hey, what's up, dude?
Hey, what's going on? I agree with everything you're saying, and I know I kept typing in. I was like, okay, well, just let me call in.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, what I was saying was, yes, exactly what you were saying, what you were texting back, and I just wanted to correct myself. But what I meant by saying women that say that they're looking for males that is in control, yes, I don't mean all, and you're right. There are some women, their statements is that I'm looking for a real man, or I'm looking for a man in a relationship that have the traits of a manly man, that do the things that a man is there to do. But I find a lot of my clients think that being a man in a relationship is controlling everybody and everything, including them. And well, okay, I won't say all of my clients, but
no, I know what you mean. Yeah,
some clients that I've had, and it hurt me so bad to hear someone say, well, what's your definition as a man? And it says, well, when I push him, or I hit him, or I curse him out, and he does nothing. And I know what she's trying to say. It's like, well, what is it that you want him to do? And they're pretty much saying, I want him to hit me back or curse me out. And here's a guy that is a nice guy that's taking care of business. And I asked, well, okay, I can't, this is too recent, so I won't say too many things. But I think just the collective or the classic conditioning of saying, I'm looking for a man that can take control, sometimes I believe that they're thinking that means controlling them. Psychologically speaking, I'm just finding so many women that have no self-worth, no self-esteem, and they're looking for someone to keep them in control as far as how they are in the relationship. And when they're looking for that type of guy, giving up that power, when they're tired of giving that man that control, it's too late, because when they're trying to get out of the relationship, this is when that jealousy comes in, or this is when, I mean, if you find any human being, but mainly men, that have power over anything, and you take that power away from that man, he's going to respond, especially if he's not trained. If he has no experience of losing power, like losing a job. I mean, what do we see every time when a man loses a job? I mean, I'm just saying, most of the time when we sit here on the news, he's coming to the job with a gun, and he's killing people, and then go home and kill his family and himself, because the power is being taken from him, right? And that's what I meant about I just would like to hear something different, meaning the same thing of what you said. Just that I think the statement is just overrated. I want a man to take control. At least if you do say that, what do you mean by control? Because what I say is that you're looking for a man that make responsible choices, a man that when the situation comes to being that man in the home, you lost your job, you know, things are happening at home, are you a responsible man? Like, for instance, you know, my wife says it's not the idea that women don't like men when they lose their job, it's how they handle losing their job.
Exactly.
And, right, you know, being that man, that's the kind of man that's the statement I want to hear women say, you know, I want a real man that will take responsibility, you know, when it's time for that man to be that man, but not take control over her, Or at least if you use the statement, I want a man that can take control, make sure that you mean not over you. You know what I'm saying? Because no one should have power over anybody, you know?
Yeah, but unfortunately, a lot of women, as I was saying, have been socialized to think that is how a man shows his masculinity. So it's been kind of a crash course for me to reach out to women and kind of pull their coat and say, ladies, you know, that is not the sign of real manhood. You need to really kind of understand what male strength is, and it's not beating people over the head or demanding that they submit and demanding to always be right and have control and all of that. A real man shows leadership qualities, but he does not demand to be in control. That is like a dictator. That is not a leader. There's two different things. So I think a lot of women don't really understand the difference between the two. And, you know, a leader leads by example. He inspires people to follow him due to his wonderful decision-making processes, his confidence, his faith in what's going on, his logical analysis. You know, I mean, it's like irrefutable, so that you're like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. You relax, you follow that man. I don't know, a few women I think would really fight that if that was the kind of man in their life. But what instead you have are perpetrators that come in saying stuff like, well, you know, I'm a man, so, you know, you need to do what I say. Excuse me, Cracker Jack Box, you need to get out of my way, you know, because you ain't even got the prize. You want those defective boxes with no prize in it. I don't want you.
Absolutely.
I'm not interested in what you're talking about. So, you know, unfortunately,
and like you said, too, let's make it clear, too, that we're not talking about also wanting men that are wimps, guys that's not going to step up to the plate when it's necessary, you know.
That's right. You got to step up. You got to step strong. But you do not put your foot on your woman's neck and think that elevates you to manhood. That's not manhood.
Right, because you don't have a job and you strangling her, telling her to shut up because she's just asking you to keep trying and go out and try to find something, you know, because something's out there, you know. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you called in, Rael. I always love to hear from you.
Oh, absolutely. And I love the show, and you're just still doing it strong, too. So definitely I'm listening.
Okay. Thank you for calling. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Okay. Let's get caller 323 on the line. What's your question or comment? Oops, I'm sorry. That was Rael. We're just hanging up. Okay, caller 419. What's your question or comment?
Hi, Deb. This is Rose in Ohio.
Hey, Rose.
Hey, girl. How are you?
I'm fine. You got something to say about jealous men, jealous women? What's up?
I have so much. And then I was listening to Rael, I believe his name was, and he brought up something very interesting. And then you came back and answered what I was about to say, and you answered it so well. But just the thing that caught my attention when he was talking about the women who hit and punch and try to provoke a man, and I'm thinking to myself, although most men are batterers, there are women who batter as well, and I consider that type of behavior some form of battering, first of all. But secondly, women like that usually have deeper issues that you need to run from as well. But then I think what he was saying, and like I said, you touched upon it, is that women, they may say they want a man to be in control, but like you said, they're looking for a leader. And a lot of times we're looking for that iron, that sharpened iron type of situation, somebody who is at our level, who meets and exceeds that or makes us a better person in terms of being in relationship with them. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
And then I couldn't remember all the models of leadership, but the example that did come to mind for me was like the servant leadership type, say for like an ML King or a Jesus, where Jesus not only led the disciples by example, but he also served them. He ministered to them. He washed their feet. He made disciples of them. So, when I think of leadership, a lot of times I think of it in that way. And then you also wrapped it up in saying that that's how people are socialized to be. And that's so true, because when we see, with the Westerns and all this machismo we get on TV and the movies, a strong man, he'll take a bullet, he can shoot guns on a horse and, not fall off, and, all this nonsense that we get about males, and tend to buy into, and that's not what a real man is. A real man is, like you said, he's responsible. He makes good choices. He leads by example, so.
That's very important.
Yeah, but there are so many good things you guys are saying that I couldn't keep up with it all.
Well, keep listening. You may have some, because I'm going to, talk about some more issues about jealousy, and you may have something else you want to call back in about. So keep listening.
Okay, you guys are doing an excellent job, though. This is a very good show.
Well, thanks, Rose. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, due to my confusing, I don't know what you call it, listing on Blog Talk, I just extended the show for 30 minutes. Hope everyone can hang out because, it kind of threw me for a loop, and I haven't been as focused as I usually am, but I'm trying to get my mind together. That just really kind of threw me seeing 9 o'clock, but whatever. Okay, let's get back to this jealousy talk. Now, what causes jealousy? We need to cover that. We also need to address the difference between jealousy and envy. They are two different things. Now, when someone is envious, what we see is you have something that they want. The term often used is coveting. You have something that they think, would be better for them or that they want as well. That's called envy. You buy a new TV, 52-inch. She got a 52-inch. I only have a 36-inch. I need a 52-inch. Okay, that's envy. That's usually no big deal. And in some instances, say you have a new boyfriend, your friend doesn't have a boyfriend, she'll be sad, envious. She's not hating on the fact that you have somebody. She's happy that you have somebody, but she wants someone too. Okay, that's envy. That's not what we're talking about. We are talking about jealousy. Jealousy is usually in a romantic relationship, which is what we address on this particular show. In a romantic relationship, jealousy has basically 3 causes. You're comparing yourself to this perceived threat, which is, the other person that you feel is coming in on your man or your woman. Number 2, you're in competition with this person. You feel like a guy may feel like, he's taller, he got more money, he got a better ride, he's better looking. Women like she got a better body, she's younger, she's got a bigger booty than me. The sex better with this person than with me. What do they do? So there's a competition factor. Who's going to be the best at whatever? Who's going to meet this person's needs the best? Or number 3, you have a fear of being replaced. Those tend to be the top 3 reasons why people get jealous. Their comparative factor, where they feel like they come out on the bottom. The competition factor, where they feel like this person may be better than them for you, or and ultimately they have the fear of being replaced for whatever reason they have it. So those tend to be the top 3 reasons why people feel jealous in romantic relationships. Now, how does that play out? Well, in a wide variety of ways. We've heard some of the things. A woman who I was hoping would call in, but evidently got twisted up by that time slot change of Blog Talk, told me a story about her sister who was shot. She dated this dude for less than a month. Figured out pretty quickly that dude wasn't wrapped too tight. She wanted anything to do with him. She broke it off. He refused to take no for an answer. He waits for her at the bus stop where she's, commuting from work, and in front of everyone on the bus and all the people driving up and down and walking up and down the street, shoots her and kills her dead right there at the bus stop. Why? Because she had the nerve to leave him, and he was jealous that she was probably going to be with someone else. Now, he had no proof of that. She just, broke it off with him. But in his mind, he created this whole story of her being with someone else and not wanting him because of it. And so he decides the solution to that is to kill her. Sadly, this is the solution that, a lot of jealous people choose, male and female, primarily male. That tends to be the bastion of the male gender, to resort to murder of the female. But like I said, Oxygen has a whole series called Snapped that flips that around, where women say, oh, the hell with you, and they kill the guy back. So, it's not strictly a male thing, although statistics say that, it's up to as much as 95% of those types of things are committed by males. So, if you have a comment or question about jealousy, the causes of it, how you can prevent or handle a jealous partner that you may be in a relationship with, give me a call. The number is 347-327-9215. Press 1 on your keypad, and I'll take your call. What do we do about the issue of people trying to placate a jealous partner? Now, this is something that I feel is a mistake. Some people choose to deal with their jealous partner's accusations in that manner. They'll say, well, I don't understand, I'll change. Okay, well, I'll call you. Okay, well, I won't go there. Okay, well, I'll stop seeing that friend. Well, okay, you see what I mean? They're giving in to the jealous partner's demand. They're acquiescing. They're basically giving the jealous person what they demand. What is it that you think that's going to do? Now, from the female perspective, women, like I said in my articles, have been socialized to be pleasing, to put men in a position of superiority, and to be submissive. When a woman is submissive to a man and she agrees to be that way with no challenge to him at all, this is the kind of response that she will give him to his jealous accusations. She will just kowtow and, give him what he wants. She'll dress the way he says, stop wearing lipstick, not, do her hair, not go out with her friends. She won't do whatever it is that he says because she feels that the best way to keep this relationship going is to acquiesce to his demands. That is a mistake. The more that you give a jealous, controlling person, the more they want. The best thing to do is to tell them no. You are not going to control my life. I'm not going to do what you want. You are going to either trust me in an adult relationship that's such as we are supposed to have, or you need to get the hell on. So it's not going to work where I am not the person I need to be to make you feel better. That's not going to work for me because I'll be miserable while you're allegedly be happy. But in reality, they're miserable too. They don't really want control. They just want to feel secure. The only way they're really going to do that, though, is to get counseling because the security factor for a jealous, insecure person with low self-esteem, because that's essentially what you're dealing with. You have no control over that. Unless you're a mental health professional yourself just dating some fool, there's nothing you can do. You don't have the skill set to handle that and to fix that. You just don't. You're just a regular person with no mental health training, okay? You can't help this jealous person. They need to see a professional. Whatever void is in their life from childhood, whatever's making them feel insecure about themselves, about their ability to trust you and believe in you, that's their issue. You have nothing to do with that, and they need to get professional help. That's the only way that they're going to be able to get over that. But, these ladies, women
will go into a competitive mode. I've seen this all the time. I've seen this a lot. Women want to become the ideal. Now, men will say what it is that they want, right? They want this feminine, uber feminine, submissive woman that cooks and cleans and listens to her man, and, she's a freak at night and a lady in the, Women will listen to that, right? And they will try to become that woman. And other women will compete with, the other female to prove which one of them can meet this standard of behavior the most and allegedly get this guy's attention. So they've entered into this competition to see who's going to be the sexiest, body's going to be the best, who's going to be the freakiest, who's going to cook him the most gourmet meals, who's going to do all this stuff. So even in the meantime, they're competing over some knucklehead that really one of them should just say, oh, well, you could have him. I don't want him. You take him. So, women do that, and I don't understand. So what they're basically doing is trying to prove that they're what a man wants. So they're trying to be better than the other woman instead of trying to be unique in themselves. Now, what does that mean? If you are unique in yourself, you believe in yourself as a worthy and powerful, attractive, and enchanting woman. You don't need to compare yourself to some other chick. You're not looking at her saying, oh, well, her hair is longer than mine, her booty's bigger than mine, she's got a better smile than mine, better teeth, better, puts on makeup better. You're not comparing yourself to anyone. You're just looking at yourself and saying, I am the shit, just the way that I am. Now, that's me. Unfortunately, doesn't seem to be the reality for a great many women, which is why I do what I do, because I'm trying to bring so many females along to that level. And ladies, if you are there, if you get there, you won't feel jealous, and neither will you allow some man to put you there. This is something else we need to talk about. Why do so many women stay in relationships with men that allow them? You get these guys that just push your buttons repeatedly, and you stay with them. These are guys who are cheating on you, but you stay. He's sitting there flirting with other bees right in your face, and you stay. He's sitting there, saying all these nasty things to put you down. He's making you feel bad about yourself. He's not, stepping up to the plate and being the man of his word. He leaves you hanging a lot, all these kind of things. So, but he has the nerve to act like you're cheating with some other man, yet you stay. What is that? I don't get that. Why do you do that to yourself? So, you set yourself up with a man who's putting you in a position where you're feeling like you're less, and he's going to show you, well, look at her. I really like her. You ought to do your hair like hers. So what he's doing, he's pitting you against some other woman to try to make you feel like less. So by elevating this other chick, he's making you feel jealous. He's putting you in that position to press your jealousy buttons. And I don't understand why people allow themselves to be involved in relationships with people like that. Why would you do that to yourself? Any person that I feel is trying to make me jealous, I next them within seconds. You get to play that game exactly one time. Uno. Un, as they say in French. That's it. Once. And then I'm done with you. I'm not dealing with anybody who's that stupid and that immature. I'm not going to do it, because if that's your starting point, that's the highest you can go, then that means that we only got to go downhill from there, and I don't have time for that kind of drama. As they say the drama for your mama, I'm out. You can go do that with somebody else who's silly enough to want to be bothered with it, because that ain't me. And I wish more women would be like that and have that confidence in themselves that they deserve more. So, really you'll see in many situations of jealousy, sometimes we'll be in a situation with someone who presses those buttons for us, and we turn into a complete fool. So many women have told me stories about driving up to dudes' houses, going up, wanting to fight the other chick and all that stuff. And admittedly, these are all young, people like in their teens and early 20s, but still, these are buttons that are pressed. They allow them to be pressed in relationships. I don't see the necessity for that, and why we would stay in those kinds of relationships. Now, what about? Let me see. I'm skipping through my little notes here. and see what else I want to talk about jealousy. Do you think that jealousy is basically a manifestation of fears? What do you think about that? What fears would you have that would make you feel jealous? If you can reflect on a time when you were jealous, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? What were you afraid of? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Give me a call. 347-327-9215 is the number. Press 1 on your keypad. Tell me when you had your jealous reaction, if you can remember back that far, whether it was yesterday or a few years back. When you had your jealous reaction, what were you afraid of? That's what I want to know. Because I'm trying to get kind of an idea of what people are feeling. And why is it that some people can feel the feelings and, it's no big deal. I mean, they don't react to them. They don't react on them, rather. And other people feel just the slightest little twinge of jealousy, and they just bust out and act a complete fool. What is up with that? Can you tell the difference? And what would you say are some of the warning signs of someone that we should watch for as being a potentially dangerous, jealous person? What are the fears that make someone potentially dangerous? I think that sometimes jealousy, there's the phrase that, jealousy can be healthy. I don't see where it can be healthy. It's probably not always harmful, but I see no real benefit of being jealous. There's no benefit to the relationship, and there's no benefit to either partner. From my perspective, now you may have a different one. If you have one, I'd want to hear it. But from where I sit, I see no benefit to being jealous. There's, if your perceived threat is real, then, since we don't really control what other people do, we only control ourselves. If that person is, dipping into some other pool to fish, okay, why be jealous about it? I mean, I can understand feeling hurt. I can understand feeling, sad that the relationship that you cherish is ending. I can understand those kind of feelings of grief and loss. What I don't understand is jealousy, because you have to understand that you can only feel jealous in a situation where somebody loves you as much as you love them back. If that's not the case, why be jealous? You're not in danger of feeling like you're in danger of losing something. It's already gone. So, you didn't really have it in the first place. That's my logic. I don't, of course I been told I think a little bit different than most people, but that's the way I think about it. Why trip? Now, when we have jealousy, sometimes it can go from, this normal kind of a stress reaction to something, a little reaction that we see that may be threatening to our primary relationship, to what they call pathological jealousy. Now, this can be emotionally devastating. It can provoke violence. It can even be the root cause of murders. And this one statistic I read, this guy, he wrote a book, Dr. Robert Barker. He's out of Washington, D.C., wrote a book on jealousy in marriages. And one of the quotes that I got from his book was that jealousy is a primary factor in the 1.8 million cases of wife abuse that come to public attention each year. Now, that doesn't, he's very careful with his wording, come to public attention. That means there's probably at least that many more that haven't come to public attention because people are too ashamed to even discuss them, okay? So after evaluating 70 recent surveys of wife abuse, he reported, extreme jealousy was present in most of the husbands, ranging from 66% in some samples to over 95% in others. Did you hear that? Jealousy was the root cause of wife abuse by husbands in as many as 95% of the cases. So, what is it that these men are so jealous of? What are they thinking of is going to happen? Now, he also goes on to say that parents have to be kind of wary of reinforcing jealous behavior in their children. That goes along with my idea that jealousy is a socialized behavior pattern. Parents should be wary of reinforcing jealous behavior. If a child becomes overly possessive when her mother is occupied with the baby, the mother should tell the child she's busy now and will pay attention to her later. Dropping everything to comfort the tantrum thrower will only encourage his tantrums. Now, this is, magnify that by, move forward by 30 years and imagine that same behavior by a wife towards her husband. She drops everything to placate him in his fit of jealousy. How's that going to help their marriage? Instead, what you should do if you are faced with a jealous man is not play into it. Say, what you're saying is ridiculous. I'm not going to dignify it with a response. Your jealousy is about you. It has nothing to do with me. I'm going to go here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to see my friends. I'm going to visit my mother. I'm going to do what I want to do, and you are just going to deal with it. If you can't deal with it, you need to seek a therapist. But I'm not going to limit my life to try to make you feel better about your jealousy. And that is a strong stance that more women in relationships need to take instead of trying to placate men. I'm not saying you be disrespectful, and I'm definitely not saying you go out and try to intentionally arouse his jealousy. That is a suicide move, okay? That's stupid. What you do, though, you don't feed into it. You don't say, okay, I'll stop doing X, Y, Z, whatever it is he's complaining about. No, you continue to live your life. You don't let anyone put you in a box. Are you kidding me? That's not the way you handle a jealous relationship, a jealous mate. So give a call if you have a comment on jealousy rather. 347-327-9215 is the number to call in. How many of you think that jealousy is associated with low self-esteem and a lack of self-confidence? I've often wondered that because I remember I was reading something that was about a world survey of jealousy, and it said that the men in Brazil were the most jealous men in the world. And I thought, wow, that's kind of, because Brazil is known to have a high poverty rate, what is it that they're so jealous of? But it has to do with sex. And I think, okay, because a lot of men, around the world covet Brazilian women as being some of the world's most beautiful. So I'm wondering if it has something to do with that. I don't know. I just read the survey summary, not the actual breakdown, and they didn't have published any interviews with the survey respondents. It merely gave the survey results, and it said that worldwide, Brazilian men were the most jealous, and Japanese men were the least jealous. I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. And women who attempt to retaliate by telling their man, well, if you don't stop being jealous, I'm going to leave, that could very well backfire on you. Threats are never good unless you intend to actually back them up. So a woman who threatens to leave a man, every time you turn around, she's threatening to leave him, just shut up because you ain't going nowhere. And he knows that. So rather than even open your mouth and tell that lie, just stop talking. Stop talking because you're not leaving. And basically then what you do is, you set yourself up to not be taken seriously ever. It's better just to not say anything or just say, we should see a counselor. We should try to work this out. We should, do something else besides threaten to leave when you know you're behind, not going anywhere. That makes no sense at all. So let me check into the chat room and see what's going on in here since I had it covered up and didn't really someone in the chat room named King Ham says men think they own the vajayjay when they don't own it in the first place. Well, that's true. They really don't. But it is a cultural thing, King Ham, that men are socialized to believe that, they own a woman's body, and that once she sleeps with them, some guys feel like once you sleep with them, whether you have a committed relationship or not, they have some kind of control over, who else you sleep with. And they actually have the nerve to be jealous and, make these little nasty comments. Oh, so I guess, you moved on to your next end and stuff like that. Come on now. You don't have no claim on it. It ain't yours. You just, was a squatter just like whoever the next dude is. So, shut up. Just don't say nothing. And so, he brings up an interesting point. Sadly, though, we don't understand why men think that, but they do, and there you go. Okay, caller 626, what's your question or comment?
It's Greg from Covina.
What's up, dude?
Hey, what's up? I was thinking about the jealousy. It's usually a negative thing, but in some ways, I'm thinking in some type of way it's hardwired into a man's DNA. At least
you
to the
think
point
so?
Where not the extreme version that you were talking about earlier with the physical violence or something, but almost like the way that a man will give his life for his country. You have thousands of men that go to war, because of their flag or their love of their country. They're like defending freedom or defending, their flag or whatever. I think it's the same way like a man thinks that like the woman that he has is like his honor is being challenged by another man. And at one time in this country, I don't know if it still is, but I know at one time, like if you came in and you saw your wife having sex with another guy and you killed them, that was a defense, because like your honor was being challenged. I think it's probably changed now, but I think in a way it's that kind of passion that you feel like as a man that someone is trying to invade your territory. They're trying to take down, Lady Liberty or whatever. I'm just saying. I know it's like a lot of domestic violence that has to do with negative jealousy, but I'm just trying to say that sometimes jealousy could be actually a positive thing, especially when you're defending your country, you're defending your family or whatever.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if that's really falls onto the jealousy, because they're not really, according to the definition I'm trying to use, kind of narrow in the focus about relationships. It basically has to do with you being, not you, but, the person who's jealous, being afraid of losing something that they fear is theirs. They feel like it's in danger of being taken away by someone or something. So, in a situation where you're talking about your country and all that, that's kind of a pride thing. That's not necessarily jealousy. And I actually think, Covina Man, that this stuff that we're talking about is actually more socialization than anything else. Men are socialized to think those things about women, that they should, have ownership and rights and make a claim. And women are socialized to think, well, men are going to cheat, men have needs, so you're going to have to kind of, give them some rope, this and that. So it's all part of a big game. I see it as a big chess game where, the pawn and the king and the queen all, and the knights and bishops all kind of move around the board and take people down here and there. And, there's somebody who comes out the victor. But there will be a lot of games played, a lot of undercover currents and undercover moves made, and it's all about who's going to come out with the upper hand. And, the way things have been structured, men, I believe, have been socialized and set things up so that they come out with the upper hand on women. And this jealousy thing, as well as the violence used to justify their jealousy, is part of that game as well. The reason I say that is because if a woman should kill a man, using the same justifications. Well, he cheated. Or I caught him in the bed with another woman. She'll get 10, to 50, where the guy gets off. Now, what is that? And that's happened. I was looking at some cases online, and like over in Europe, they're trying to stop doing that because that's been the case. The guy would plead, that he's got, he was jealous, he was temporary, and he'll get off. Whereas a woman who pleads the exact same thing will be locked up. And it's exactly the same. I mean, the hurt of seeing someone you love, having some buck wild sex with somebody else, the hurt is the same, whether you're male or female. That pain, that knife in your heart is the same. But for men, other men see it as, justifiable homicide, whereas if a woman kills a man for doing the same thing, they're like, oh, no, fry the cow.
I don't think that's the same in our country. I think it's probably the opposite. I think women, like when they kill their husbands, they seem to get a lot less. I know didn't recently some woman get like 7 months for killing her husband?
Well, sometimes there's a history of abuse. You see what I mean?
Right.
And if there's a police established history of him abusing her, then they might do that. But if she just ups and kills dude out of the clear blue sky, then she gonna fry. They don't care. But if there's a police, in my mind though, if there's a police record of him abusing her, beating her ass, putting her in the hospital and all this kind of stuff, and she finally kills his ass, she shouldn't have to do a day in prison. In my thing, he should have been in jail for abusing her. Why was he not locked up for hurting her? But now she gets sick of it and she kills him. Why are you punishing her? You should have been punishing him right along for what he was doing to her.
Yeah, I think most people probably agree with that, too.
That makes me sad, and the little kids have to see that and everything. That's just not cool. But
I want to add one more thing, too. Like, I think a lot of, domestic violence that happens is because a man is a lot bigger than a woman. If the shoe was on the other foot, I think the man will be abused. But I think in our country, there was a statistic that said black men are 60% more likely to get abused in domestic violence than the non-black men. I think it happens, and it happens also, but I don't think it gets the same report.
I have never, ever seen anything like that in a statistic.
Okay, I'll send that to you.
Yeah, you send that to me. Send me a link on the thing because I'd like to read that.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll talk to you soon, but thanks for calling in.
All right. Okay.
I'll talk to you later. Bye. Okay, callers, we got about 15 more minutes in the show. So if you have a story on jealousy and your own jealous reaction, I thought people would have a lot more stories to share about, when they felt jealous and how they handled it or how they dealt with some jealous ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, something. I thought y'all would just be blowing up the phones with these stories. Because people always sending me emails telling me this stuff. Now everybody's all quiet. Everybody's all shy. What's up with that? Give a call, 347-327-9215. You don't have to say who you are. We don't know your voice. You can disguise it. Talk in a falsetto. We'll never know it's you. And I swear, even if I know it's you, I won't say your name. But let's talk a little bit more about jealousy. Why? Some people will create an alternate universe in their mind, and what I mean is they will come to all kinds of assumptions and conclusions based on presumptions, and then act on them. For instance, I know a man who saw the letters PP in his girl's address book. He not only, he rips the page out. He's so mad, he can't even just copy the number out or just keep the, phone book intact and call the number. He got to rip the page out. He's so mad. So then he comes and he's going to jam the girl up talking about, you know, and I saw this, you know, MF, you had PP in your phone book, blah, blah, blah. And she says, yeah, and I bet you felt like a fool when you called the number and they said, good afternoon, Planned Parenthood, how may I help you? That was what the PP was for. And so you see what I mean? In his mind, he created this whole thing where he's going to try to jam her up and create a bunch of drama. And in reality, it was a completely innocent situation. And, you know, he was creating drama where really none needed to exist just about nothing. Now, let's see. What can I say, add to this? Jealousy. I really don't see where it helps a relationship at all. Some people say that a little bit of jealousy is, quote, healthy, okay? Now, I suppose there's like some kind of limit, you know, a very minor amount of jealousy that might kind of make somebody stand up and take notice, perhaps not take their mate for granted. For instance, let me give you this example. Say a couple, you know, it's kind of been out at a party or something, and, you know, there's been no cheating, no suspicions of cheating, but, you know, the wife is exceptionally pretty tonight. She's dressed really well. The husband notices that a lot of men are giving her the eye. So he's suddenly reminded that his wife is a hottie. And, you know, you don't step up your game and keep your game tight. Please don't think she'll be alone for long because, you know, other men think she's a hottie. Okay, now she hasn't done anything. She's done nothing to make him jealous. He was experiencing a little twinge of it, though, from his recognition that if you don't keep your shit tight, somebody else could be in your shoes real quick. So that was all him. So then suddenly now he's more romantic and attentive to his wife at the party and on into the evening once they leave there. It's like he sees her with new eyes. He sees her through the eyes of these other men that don't know her as the, you know, chief cook, bottle washer, and diaper changer that he knows her as. They see her as a hot woman. In an instance like that, I think a little twinge of jealousy to remind us what we have could probably be about the only exception to my jealousy is no good rule. Because, you know, in a situation like that, it's just a momentary twinge. You know, the person knows there's absolutely nothing going on. The wife's over there talking to the lady who's having the party. She's not flirting with the men. She's not talking to the men. She's, you know, just being civil to the hostess and, you know, just socializing through the party like, you know, with her husband like a normal wife would do. And so he has no reason to feel seriously threatened. But what he does feel is the recognition that, you know, he has something special and he better take care of it and attend to it like he has some sense. So in a situation like that, I would say that little momentary twinge of jealousy might be good for a relationship in that it kind of raises people's awareness of the wonderful partner that they have. Okay, I can roll with that. Okay, so let me make that the exception to my jealousy sucks in general rule. That is the one exception. Other than that, I don't see where jealousy serves any purpose in a relationship at all. Nothing good ever really comes out of it from my perspective. People are jealous. They act a fool. They say nasty things to their partner. They hurl accusations. They put their partner on the defensive about nothing. It just ends up ugly. It ends ugly. So I don't really see where it's a benefit. But if you have some other idea, you want to put my behind in check, now's the time because we're down to about the last 10 minutes of the show. So after this, we move on to other topics. We will not be revisiting jealousy. So if you have something you want to say to me about it, this is the time. 347-327-9215 is the number to call. Now, let's see. I had started talking about, where's my little list I made out? I written my little list of things here. While I look for it, let me take this call. Caller 646, what's your question or comment?
I dated a guy once, and he used to do some stupid stuff to make me jealous. Like, we'd be going out sometimes, and he would see a woman, and he would say, wow, she's got nice breasts, or look at her legs, or something, and then he'd look over at me, and it used to make me so angry.
Oh, no, he didn't.
A long time ago. And so I wonder why guys do that sometimes.
Oh, well, see, from where I sit, that's just another one of those low self-esteem things. You know, he's looking for some kind of acknowledgement from you that that you care enough to be jealous. So, you know, he's just trying to, like, press your buttons and, you know, get a rise out of you. Because some people feel like if you don't show any kind of reaction when they make statements like that, it means you don't care about them.
He told me later on that he said, you know, when I didn't say anything, because it did make me angry and it did make me jealous, but then I was thinking, you know, if I acted that way, it would make him mad. Plus I was, you know, we were young. And he said that it made him mad because he said that I just sat there and let him talk any kind of way and disrespect me, and I never showed any reaction. I didn't call him on his behavior, and he lost respect for me for that. So he was playing a lot of mind games that I didn't realize at the time.
Well, the bottom line is, you know, why would he talk to you disrespectfully? See, why should you have to defend yourself against his disrespect? Why can't he just act like he has some damn sense and not talk to you disrespectfully? Why is he putting that onus on you to put him in check for being stupid when he shouldn't have been stupid in the first place?
Guys do that a lot. They do that all the time. They seem to make women responsible for their behavior, and then when you don't act the way that they think you should, then they blame you. So, and I just remember that experience I had. When we would go out, he would make comments about other women and then look at me to see how I would react, and I would be afraid to fall into that trap and react, and I still would get blamed. So I just wanted to share that.
So it's like you damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Knucklehead. Okay, talk to you soon. Well, what do you do if you have a partner like, you know, the caller just described, someone who insists on making you jealous? They repeatedly seek to press your buttons. They repeatedly seek to disrespect you. They repeatedly seek to do things that are hurtful. What do you do? Let's see. Hold on a second. I'm losing my train of thought here. You know, it's been a while since I did a 2-hour show. That's why I'm, like, fading fast here. I think that women need to have the gumption to end the relationship. So you have a relationship with someone who's portrayed themselves to be somewhat jealous. What's the best way to do that? Well, you got to remember that if you have someone who is that kind of a loser, they're not going to want to accept responsibility for their behavior as contributing to the demise of the relationship. They're going to try to say, well, you're too sensitive, you can't take a joke, I was just playing, you know, you need to understand how to be taking constructive criticism, you know, I'm just trying to help you. All these kind of things that put the responsibility for their negative behavior and your reaction back on you. Oh, the hell with that crap. What you do is this. You have to say things like, you know, you say I statements. That way, you know, they can't really blame you. They're going to still try to say, well, you shouldn't feel that way. But it doesn't matter. That part doesn't matter because you're saying I statements means you're owning what you're saying. So you would say things like, well, I feel numb. I feel confused. I feel burned out from this relationship. You know, the repeated attempts to make me jealous, I find hurtful. I want to end the relationship because of those things. It's not, I don't feel good in the relationship anymore. You see what I mean? It's all about I. You're owning your feelings. You're saying what you feel, what you don't feel, and what you're sharing your experience in the relationship. So there's really not too much argument there. Like I said, the only thing he can say is, well, you shouldn't feel that way, or maybe that's not what I meant, or whatever. But it still doesn't even matter, because no matter what he meant, where the words left his lips, they were interpreted by you in whatever way you interpreted them, and the end result is they caused a certain emotional and psychological response in you, and you're owning that, and you're sharing it with them. So that's one way to do it. you can say, well, you know what? A lot of times, like I said, they're not going to accept that, so you're going to start to get a lot of phone calls. You might get gifts. You know, you're going to be some begging involved. There may be some, attempts to reconcile. There'll be a lot of apologies flying back and forth, text, phone calls, letters, faxes, emails, whatever. Your job, though, ladies or men, if this is you, is to react in the exact same manner that I described a minute ago. You just say, thanks, but I don't want the relationship anymore because I'm burnt out. I feel confused. I feel numb. I feel unloved. I feel whatever it is you feel, you express that and you sign the little note, thanks. But see what I mean? You're not going through no whole bunch of explanation. You're not saying anything new. You're not saying if you had done blah, 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 and opening the door. You're not doing any of those things. You have pretty much a script, and you're going to stick to it, and you say the same shit over and over until it gets through his thick skull that you're done, okay? You don't give him any hope. You don't offer to see him to talk about it. A lot of stupid women have done that, and they ended up dead because they offered to cut with somebody who's, not wrapped too tight, and then nobody knows where they are, and they end up, washed up in the bay somewhere or chopped up into pieces in the trunk, buried in the woods. You don't do that. You don't go off with your ex, and neither do you let them come to your house, and neither do you go to theirs. If you're cutting ties, you cut ties. If they're acting a jealous, possessive fool and you don't want to be with them anymore, you need to make your words match with your actions. Ladies, this is mandatory. You cannot act one way and, give him any ammunition to say, well, she said this, she did this. You don't want to do that. You have to stick to your guns, say exactly what you mean and mean exactly what you say, okay? You don't try to make the man understand how you feel because he's not going to get it. You just make your I statements and you just leave it there. If he can get it if he wants to, not if he pleases. You don't fall for any sudden changes. Like I said, they may try to, get you back in there. They're going to make all kind of promises. I've changed. I'm a different man. I'll stop acting like that. I'll stop hitting you. I'll stop saying the things I say. I'll stop accusing you. That's not going to happen. He is the way he is, and without psychological intervention, he will continue to be that way. If you need to, you should get counseling as well. I mean, he needs it. You should probably get some as well because what I've seen is a pattern with women that tend to choose these kind of abusive guys over and over again, these controlling types. You need to figure out what it is about these types of guys that's attracting you and then extricate yourself from that selection criteria. If you decide to stay with him, remember that you are in a dead-end relationship. It's never going to get any better. It is going to be exactly the way it is for the rest of the relationship if it does not escalate and become even worse. It's very important that you understand that. The outrageous jealousy is a very, very scary thing, and the people that experience it do not magically stop being jealous. They have to figure out what it is that's triggering these types of insecurities in themselves that they're projecting onto their partners. You think it's you. You're just the face. It would be you. It would be whoever's in their life. It's going to be the same reaction over and over. So that's pretty much, sums up the dynamics of jealousy and what you can do about handling a jealous person in your life, or if you have jealousy of your own that you've been wrestling with. It's basically about feeling that you're enough and that you're good enough and that someone is going to love you just the way you are. It's very, very important, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit from this show.
There's also an article on AskHeartbeat.com about jealousy that you can